Hi, I'm Michelle Begue with a look at what's happening in Latin America now. But first, our news trivia. Which Latin American country recently launched its first high-speed railway line? We'll have the answer later. Mexico said this week that U.S. military weapons had been detected entering the country and is demanding a formal investigation. Mexico blames firearms trafficking from its northern neighbor for fueling drug cartel-related violence. The foreign minister says they alerted Washington of the inflow of firearms that are supposed to be for the exclusive use of the U.S. Army. An American federal appeals court ruled that Mexico can now sue U.S. gun manufacturers. Now let's go to Argentina with my colleague Joel Richards, who has a special report.
Michelle, hundreds of flights were cancelled in Argentina's first nationwide strike since 2019. Organised by the powerful trade union, the CGT, thousands of people took part to protest economic reform in the biggest challenge to Javier Milei's government to date. The libertarian President Milei is pushing forward ambitious and controversial reforms. A mega decree and an omnibus law rewrite hundreds of laws that impact Argentina's economy and include spending cuts, privatizations and wholesale deregulation. The government played down the importance of the strike. It says that economic shock therapy is the only option given the country's economic crisis. Inflation has outpaced Venezuela and is now running at 211% annually. The government has made concessions to opposition lawmakers while it negotiates the omnibus law in Congress ahead of the lower house vote next week. But the mega decree faces challenges in the courts, and less than 2 months into Milei's presidency, there are clear signs of growing social tension.
Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva met with China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Brasilia. The trip marked the first international trip of the year for the Chinese official. China has developed several cooperation and trade relations with Latin America. On the list of topics between the two nations, expanding cooperation into renewable energy, 5G, and cars, as well as expanding visas for citizens from both countries. Colombians said goodbye to lawmaker Piedad Córdoba, an outspoken icon and, in the end, a controversial figure. The senator was known for championing the rights of Colombia's hostages, who were victims of the 50-year-old armed conflict with leftist guerrillas. But her relationship with the Venezuelan former president Hugo Chavez and the Colombian FARC guerrilla group drew criticism. She was also a key player in helping bring leaders of the guerrilla group to the negotiating table with the Colombian government. Earlier this year, her younger brother Álvaro pleaded guilty to drug charges in a New York court. Piedad Córdoba died suddenly in her Medellin home. She was 68. Now let's check out what stories we're following for next week. And in other news, Colombia also received a guerrilla leader known by his alias El Gringo. Carlos Arturo Ladazuri Cortés was captured in Ecuador and is wanted for narco-trafficking. It's suspected he was involved in the kidnapping and assassination of 3 Ecuadorian journalists in 2018. The high-value target was extradited to Colombia soon after his capture. And now the answer to our news trivia. The answer is C. Chile unveiled its first high-speed railway line. It can reach a maximum speed of 160 kilometers per hour, and authorities say it's the fastest in South America. Its inaugural trip was between the cities of Santiago and Curicó. The train made the 195-kilometer trip in just 2 hours and 3 minutes for a ticket that costs between $12 and $24. The trains were made in China. And that's it for this week. We'll see you again soon on Latin America Now.